T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me now? Yes, Mike. The mic was muted. Can you guys hear me now? Let me know if you can. This is Patrick Rooney, founder of Old School. And anybody, let me know if we're good. We're good. Right on. Hello, Fabian. Fabian is early in the chat. Hello, Fabian. Hello, Mike. And again, we're gonna do a little bit of we're gonna play around a little tonight. We're gonna have some fun. I haven't been on the air in probably the better part of a year. It's a long story, and maybe at some point I'll start unpack it a little bit. It's been a long, strange trip. It has been, as the Grateful Dead once said. It's been a very strange and a great trip. It's been a beautiful trip, and I'm here and alive, and it's amazing that we're alive, really. Amazing that any of us are alive in this day and age. It is a crazy world, folks. And for whatever reason, God has given us the privilege to actually be part of it. And it just amazes me every day. It ain't perfect. I don't think any of us are perfect here. And our road and our journey are not perfect. It's been a challenge, but it's been good. I'm just very thankful for everything. I'm thankful for everything in my life and everybody in my life. And um, yeah, I'm glad you guys are here. So, Martin, thank you, Martin. Martin Francis is here. Hello, Martin. I hope you are. I know it seems like you're getting better and better. Um, One day I'd like to talk to you some more about what you're doing. Um, I know you're doing streams spiritually about your spiritual journey, but a lot of people would like to hear what you're doing physically too, in terms of your diet and so forth. Um, I know that you've done a lot of study on this, and I actually got a book from Martin. Martin told me about a book, and I actually got it. And I got this book, Alkalize or Die, by Dr. Theodore A. Barodi. And no, this is not it's not a commercial. I didn't expect to do that either. But it's a very interesting book. Your body, as some of you guys might know, it's kind of made up of an alkaline side and a acid side, and the foods that you eat are either very acidic or they're maybe on the alkaline side. And according to Dr. Barodi, who is now passed, I'm wondering what he passed of, by the way. A lot of times when I read people's books, I'm curious as to if they're now dead. Is it an accident, or is it something to do with their health regimen? He was a power lifter. Dr. Brody was a power lifter, but he only lived 70 years, which isn't really all that long. But I don't know. But as far as what he says in the book, it makes a lot of sense to me. To cut to the chase, he basically tells you eat about 80% alkaline foods, meaning the fruits, the vegetables, the things that kind of put alkalinity into your bloodstream, and about 20% of the acid foods, which are more of the protein foods, the animal products, and things like that. Now, we're going to have people probably watching this that are anything from raw food vegans on one side to carnivores on the other side. I know Mike Jones has been talking a lot about carnivore, and he's had great success with it. So maybe we'll get him on a stream one day and talk about the carnivore diet and what it's done for him. So actually, I think it was in Dr. Brody's book where he said there's a commonality too, even with people with all sorts of different uh, ways of eating. Have done well, but usually the people that have done well, the commonality was they didn't eat that much. They didn't eat that much, whatever it was. They didn't overeat at any given meal, and they probably didn't have too many meals next to each other. One of the things that happened to me, and I'd love to do some streams on this later. I've talked to some of my friends, my friend Dave Maltz, who's on YouTube also. We've talked a lot about this, but we've had teeth issues. I've had teeth issues. Um, I lost a tooth at one point up front. That's one of the reasons I didn't do streams for a little bit. I didn't vanity, vanity. I didn't want it. I didn't want to look like a typical Southerner, so I got my tooth fixed. But one of the reasons I had tooth problems was because my arches are very crowded arches, and I grew up like that. And growing up, I had a lot of. My mom was always making cakes, and she took a cake decorating class, and she was always had stuff in the Tupperware above the fridge. And so every day we'd come home and have some. We always had goodies sitting there. So I became definitely a serious sugarholic, and the arches were crowded. And when I eat stuff, I eat sugar and things like that. It stays on my teeth. I eat raisins. They stick in between the teeth, and mine are very crowded. So they tend to get stuck, and then the tooth kind of gets eaten away from the outside in. And also, for a time, I was on a vegan. I tried raw veganism. I was on a vegan diet. I used to be a personal trainer for a while, and I've always been interested in health. So I've tried a lot of different diets and things over the years. But the vegan diet, unless you really do it correctly, whatever that means, you've got to be very balanced with it to do it, I think, to do it right. And I don't think I did it right, and I don't think some other people did it right. And especially fruitarians, a lot of them have horrible teeth. And anyway, I lost teeth on that diet, and it caused me to do a lot of research and things like that. I've got things I want to do on this, but I just want to say, hello to you guys, and I want to see if how you guys are doing in the chat too. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to check the chat before I get much further. Martin, yeah, you should get the door prize. We'll figure out what the door prize. I wish the door prize would be your book, Martin. That's a door prize, right? To tell people about Alkalize or Die by Dr. Theodore A. Barodi. Um, Man, I'm not getting any money for this, but I probably should. But maybe we should give out some of those books. Let me see. Who else is here? Yeah, I see you taking some shots, Fabian. We're not going to read all those. People can come to their own conclusions. Um, okay. I'm just catching up with y'all here. Oh, Mike Jones said carnivore, baby. Yeah. Fabian says 80-20 isn't too much. It's curing Martin. Well, if you think about it, if you're eating 80% fruits and vegetables and other alkaline type foods and maybe drinking green smoothies to some extent, you got to be careful about keeping stuff on your teeth though. You drink green smoothies, which I was doing, and they're good, but you put bananas and things in with them, and you know they can get on your teeth and whatnot. I mean, anything sugary is going to be a problem for your teeth. But 80-20, I mean, that would be great if it's curing Martin, and Martin is doing better. I've seen Martin; he is doing better. And if you're doing 80-20, Martin, you're doing pretty good. Brian says you can have too much alkaline. There's people that have alkaline water. That was a big thing. It probably still is a big thing out there, but I remember it was a big thing a few years back. Alkaline water, which people were saying cured them of all sorts of things. Um, there's a time there's a time for everything, as the Bible says. So there's a time for alkaline and there's a time for acid. Obviously, God has different kinds of foods. Most of the original foods from the garden are alkaline, if you think about it. Um, but again, there's people like Mike and others who are doing carnivore. I mean, I watch certain carnivore people. There's a girl called Steak and Butter Gal on YouTube. Other people on there, and some of these people eat like 5 different foods, and that's it, and they're all animal foods, meat and eggs and chicken and what have you. Maybe a cheese or something. It's all animal food. And one other thing, I didn't know I was going to get so much into foods tonight, but one other thing that's kind of interesting about that is it's like if you're eating animal, you don't have to eat as many different kind of variety because the animals have already gone out and eaten them. You're eating secondhand food, so like the whatever goes out there and eats all these different foods, and they come back, and then the human just eats the animal. He goes and eats one thing, and the animal did all the work for him. So there's a lot of there's pros and cons to different things, but we'll maybe talk about it more about that as in another time. But it's very interesting stuff. What else, guys? Martin says carnivore diet makes you sound like a dinosaur. That's funny. Um, Brian said, "Is this a cooking show?" Yeah, I guess so far. Mike Jones says vegan doesn't have enough fat. Well, I tell you something, guys. Vegan doesn't have enough fat. I didn't expect to do this, but I'll show you another great book from my shelf. I got tons of books. I've given books away, and over the years I read a lot of stuff. This is a book called Annie's. Let me put it here. Annie's Raw Kitchen. Okay, Annie's Raw Kitchen. This woman's name is Annie Fio. She had a company called Smart Monkey Foods or something like that. And this is a raw food vegan book, very high fat, very high fat. Because a lot of the vegan stuff does have a certain amount of a lot of fat to it. Nuts have a lot of fat. Seeds have a lot of fat to them. So you can get fat. You can get into the questions of what kind of fat. There's omega-6 versus omega-3, but there's walnuts, there's flax, there's chia that has omega-3. I've always felt that you could, if you had to, live on that. I really have, even though I didn't do it myself very successfully. But if you think about it, everything that the animals are eating are available to us directly. And the missing thing a lot of times in vegans is their B6. B12. Which B12 is in soil, right? It's in organisms that are in the soil. So because we eat so much of our food now out of a store, we are not getting what people used to get, or people that are growing their own food we get. They're growing their own food, grabbing it out. What do you got on it? You got soil and stuff. So they're eating it with some soil on it. So they're getting their B12 there. Vitamin D, obviously, you get from the sunshine. So places like in Oregon here and other places, during the winter, it's a little challenging. Maybe you need to take a little cod liver oil or something. Anyway, so far it's all cooking show, guys. I'm gonna I'm promising, I think, to move on. Let's see. Martin likes Tylenol too. Oh wow, yeah. Martin says Brian is correct. You do not want to eat nothing but just alkaline. That is where the meats come in. Well, actually, Barodi said in your book there, Martin, that the ultimate diet is 100% alkaline. I believe he said. I don't think he said 100% alkaline, but definitely like all the vegetation foods. So he said he himself hasn't gotten there. So he never even tried it himself. Maybe he did try it, and that's why he exited quick. I don't know. I don't want to play around with his memory, but he was had a lot of great stuff that he did. So I don't want to be too funny about a guy who's not here anymore to defend himself. So thank you, Dr. Brody, for your great research and work, by the way. Okay. Mike said, in short, no carbs. Well, yeah. Some people go with no carbs, and Fabian said it feeds cancer and all that. Again, I think his magic thing there, above all else, um, I hear something in the background there, was eating a certain amount and don't overboard and don't eat too often. Don't overdo it, right? Even Ben Franklin said something about that. Just chill. Don't eat too much. All right, I gotta scan my chat down to make sure I'm getting the most updated chats here, guys. So I'm scanning it down. I'm doing a lot of this is a testing thing. Supplement vitamin D, Mike said. Okay. All right. Martin said, I'll never consider myself an expert. I'll look up Thomas Seyfried. Look, whoever that is. Oh, I guess Mike is telling about that. Brody's dead. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to try a few other things here too, if you guys don't mind playing around with some stuff. It's very fun too to learn this stuff. Just the learning alone. I want to shout out to Mike Jones for teaching me. Um, he may not want to hear that because I haven't reached the top of the class yet, so to speak, technically here. But for teaching me a lot of stuff technically about producing a show and things like that. We use a system called OBS, which is it's an open source, so it's free. You don't have to buy it or anything, but it is quite technical in relation to StreamYard and some of those other platforms that I've used before. It's quite technical, but it's very interesting, and learning how to do something can be very rewarding. And for me, I've just kind of had to stick to it, and I'm still sticking to it. And I mean, every day I get challenges, and we have some serious challenges that come up while doing a show. And sometimes, I was telling Mike, sometimes it's like when you're sitting in there trying to fix it, you feel like you're in an airplane where someone's teaching you how to fly the airplane, and then they purposely stall the airplane, right? And you just go into a stall, and then they make you figure out, like, as you're going down, okay, how do you fix this? So that's what it feels like sometimes when you're producing a podcast show. It's a lot of fun, but it's pretty stressful too. But it's good stress in a way. It's good stress. Growing up, I took in stress in a lot of bad ways and was stressed by people, starting with my dad. No offense to him, but he was very impatient and things like that. So he was very stressful to live with. And so having to overcome that or kind of face those challenges again is very, very interesting thing for me. All right. Yeah, you said, oh, we got to hook you up with Social Stream Ninja for the chat. Yeah, maybe. I've got a chat right here that kind of pops up automatically while I'm doing YouTube. I am on Rumble too, but I don't do a lot on Rumble yet, and I kind of like being on YouTube, even though it's less free in terms of what you can say. YouTube was, in the past, they kind of took down a lot of stuff that I did. Early on in the COVID situation, I was putting out information, and they didn't like, so they were taking a lot of my stuff down. But the thing I like about YouTube in a way is sometimes there's a little bit more of a cross section of people because we tend to talk to each other a lot. We have what we call tribes, and we have these two basic tribes in America. You got a left and a right tribe, and some of that is somewhat natural, but some of it is engineered by the powers that be. I was talking with some people close to me today about this. But yeah, the powers that be are manufacturing that. They call it a divide and conquer strategy. I think we're all kind of aware of that. But we all need to be very aware of that we are fighting for the right things, but we're doing it in the right way. And if you don't do it in the right way, you don't really show an example of the good. So I'm very aware of that, and I've been told that a lot as well, where I fall short. I'm still here. I'm a work in progress like everybody else, and yeah, I haven't done everything perfectly. A lot of things I've done far, far less than perfectly, as I have talked about here, and on oldschoolus.com is my excuse me, my website. In fact, speaking of playing with stuff, I wish I could do this in one shot, but right now I don't know how to do it. So, I didn't do it right. You know why? Because this thing has to go on the bottom here. Yeah. I wonder if I can do this midstream. I hope I don't mess anything up, but I'm going to try something midstream here. I'm going to try to pop. See, I popped it to the front. See? That scared me. there's a balance between not hitting, you don't want to hit too many buttons because you can hit the wrong button, as I found out many times. You kind of want to do the least damage you can on one side, but on the other side, you have to try some things, otherwise you'll never learn anything. So there's kind of an interesting balance here. Um, you know what I mean? It's layered. Yeah, Mike Jones says it's layered. Anyway, yeah, Mike knows this stuff inside and out. Um, but the beginner's mind, I'm closer to that. And if I can do this stuff, if I can do this and I could do a stream, I think just about anybody could, because I did not start with a technical know-how whatsoever, and I'm still just, on a low level as far as that goes. But I'm learning a lot. But I think it's good because people, that whatever you want to do, you could do, even if you don't have the. A lot of us older folks are kind of afraid of technology, and in a way, I understand it because technology. There's so much evil that comes through the internet, and people are like, I don't want this evil. I don't want no mark of the beast or whatever. I get all that. On the other hand, the weapons of war, so to speak, are technological, and the army, so to speak, that has the best technology usually wins. And I remember when I was a younger man reading about Cortez and the conquest of Mexico, and I read all sorts of stuff on it. I was fascinated. It's an amazing story. And one of the things that just stuck with me is the Spaniards had they had superior technology. They had cannons and muskets and things, and that was a large part of the reason that they won, and that Cortez won with a very, very small force in comparison, a tiny force in comparison. I mean, there were other factors. There was amazing psychology that Cortez employed. There were some weird historical coincidences as far as the Aztecs having a idea that it was like a legend that a god was going to reappear in a certain year. I think the year was one reed, a reed. He was going to appear from from the east, I guess. Anyway, Cortez appeared at the exact period of time where they were expecting this god to reappear. So Cortez knew how to play with their minds, and he was brilliant at psychology. And that had a lot to do with why they won. But also technology has had a lot to do with it too. So it's important for us, the weapons of war, so to speak, the culture war that we're in right now. If we don't know how to use the tools, then we're not on the battlefield, and we're going to be wiped out, at least. What's the word? Well, maybe even literally. So it's very important that we learn what we have to learn, and be out there always sharpening our skills. There was a period of time where I didn't even work in an office I used to work for a nonprofit down in Los Angeles for many, many years. And some of you, of course, know this. But after I left there, I did other things, but I didn't work in an office environment for probably about a 7-year period. So I wasn't using Microsoft, PCs or anything, dealing with other people in an office situation. So I lost some basic office skills. I lost some people skills to some degree. I lost certain things. You have to get out there, number one. By growing, you have to be out there, and you have to be learning stuff. And I think at some point I became a little bit anti-education, because you can kind of get into this idea that, God shows you everything, and therefore you don't need to learn anything on the outside. It's kind of a crazy idea, but people get there. And I had a little bit of that in my head, a little bit of, I guess you'd call it retardedness in my head there about that. Now I've kind of started to kind of re-educate myself again. I mean, I'm not like a huge reader. I used to read more, but I do tend to read more now, a little bit more practically than I did for a period of time. It's very helpful. All right, I got other things to show you guys, so stick with us too. And because I want to show you guys a little bit of video too. Plus, I'm trying it out on you, if you don't mind. I'm kind of guinea pigging you guys a little bit by showing you a little video, a little reaction video. But let me, I just saw Martin's comment, only punks are on Rumble. Wow, that's mean. Anyway, let me. I'm gonna go to check what you guys are saying again before I go to the video here. Dot 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 social stream. Yeah, yeah, I heard that. Okay, Martin says he doesn't like technical streaming. Who's my baby? I don't know what that means. Um, all you have to do is use code word for shots. I think I used to do that when I was streaming. I would just show things on the screen or whatever. I don't know if you can do that. They probably have some AI scanning you now. He's doing this on the screen. Put one of these things in your arm. Um, yeah, tonight we're not probably talk about that much anyway. But again, there'll be other days. Let's see. What else we got here? Yeah, Rumble. Thank God. By the way, thank God for Rumble. Rumble is under attack right now, and they've been under attack recently. People trying to knock them out because they're very, very important. True, they don't have the I love the layout of YouTube. I love the way you can search on YouTube. I love all the tools they have. Same thing is true for Google. These people have great skills, and a lot of them are on the liberal side of things, but whatever, I mean, maybe the government helped them out a lot in terms of Google, and probably so. But the point is, they know stuff, and there's things we can learn from. And we have to be kind of like humble enough to learn from anybody. It doesn't matter what spectrum they're from or whatever. That's part of the problem with, I think, the conservative people. We don't have it together as far as technically speaking, and we don't seem to be that teachable in certain ways. And I mean, in some ways, it's come a long way. I don't want to knock us as a movement, so to speak, and we've come a long way. And Rumble is moving itself up. They're going to have their own, what do you call, Rumble kind of system to be able to do live streaming. They're working on. They're just kind of sending it out right now to select content creators, but they're working on it. So I know they need to do a lot of work. So I think as we move people away from the big companies, so to speak, that are the corporations that are running so much, we want people to go more, more to people. We want to work with people or give our money to organizations and businesses that care about us, that aren't trying to kill us. That's pretty basic, right? But while we do that, we can't expect people just to switch over to our services and goods and whatever unless we have good stuff. There has to be, Vince Lombardi, I think, said, excellence, striving for excellence. We need to be excellent in what we do. We can't be, I know we're doing a little bit of a play thing here, and, you guys are kind of seeing me as I improve things. That's true, but I'm striving for excellence in what I do. And I hope that we all are, because it's excellence that kind of gives credibility. We need credibility. We can't expect to drive like an old jalopy car and then put like a Trump 24 sticker on it or whatever it is. I didn't mean to say the magic word, Fabian. We weren't necessarily talking about that tonight. But whatever sticker you want to put on the back of your old jalopy, you don't clean your car, it's all dented and messed up. And you want people to kind of like follow your way and think that, oh, that's cool, I want to be like him. They don't want to be like you if you got an old jalopy. And if all you do is talk about politics, I have some friends, God bless them, and I've been like this too, been very, very political. But you got to have a little bit of, you got to have a little variety in your life. You got to have other stuff going on. You know what I mean? And that draws people to you. We talked about this in church recently, but you don't want to have to like go around kind of pushing your stuff. And I'm not trying to tweak some of my friends here. Don't think I'm tweaking you, but you guys are in that category. I have to say, we don't want to be going around tweaking people all the time and kind of pushing our stuff on them. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. This is the way to go. You want to get to heaven. I get it. These things are important, but you kind of don't browbeat people to do anything, even to get to heaven. You don't browbeat people into heaven. So we got to kind of be, I would say self-aware. And that's one thing I see, a certain lack of self-awareness in our group. And it's troubling. It's kind of troubling because, especially if you consider yourself a spiritual person, you pray, you meditate, and you do these kind of things, isn't self-awareness supposed to be like, shouldn't you be self-aware? Shouldn't you be able to see, like, let's say you're kind of like talking to someone, you're having a group conversation with them, and you're kind of starting to tell them. So I was watching this in a friend of mine the other day, and I meant to tell him at the time. He was telling, my friend was telling somebody else something and trying to get his point across, and I could see the other person like going away, like body language, kind of like starting to flee. And I'm like, I wonder, you gotta have to read the room. They say reading the room if you're like a comedian or you're giving a speech or something. You gotta kind of read the room. How are people taking it? It's not just about, you're not like no man is an island. You're not like a bubble by yourself and then it's just like blah, 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 blah. You're not a robot. You're a person and you interact with people. Even Paul in the Bible, is he the one that said, when in Rome, do as the Romans do? I don't know. But he knew, he could speak different languages. He would speak to the people on whatever level they were on. All he wanted to do was win you to the right way. He would win you to Christ, but he would do it in a way that was, he would work with the person where they were at. You don't come with where you're at and then so, I'm going to push everything that I'm at. No, that's not the way to do it. Where are they? Where are the person at? You want to win them over. It's not all about you. We are all in a bigger world that consists of us and everybody else in it. Okay, I'm off my little soapbox. I'm going to take one more look at your comments, and please stick with me long enough to let me at least show you a little bit of the video stuff, because I think you'll enjoy some of it. And frankly, I do want to test it too in front of a live audience. Okay, so let me take a few of your comments. I'm probably going to get some more now that I've did this little rant of mine. Fabian said, conquistadors overall had the moral high ground as Catholics, and Cortez was appalled at the human murder sacrifice and ended it. Excellent point, Fabian. That is so true. And ultimately, that is your number one. Because if you've got the high moral ground, you're going to win in most cases. You're going to win. And the Aztecs were hated by their own people. Other Indian tribes hated the Aztecs. That's why Cortez was able to win. He was able to gather their rivals to fight the Aztecs. And yes, they did do human sacrifices. And one of the things that the Spaniards did when they came to different towns and they would see these what do you call these monuments set up basically to Satan, they'd come in and rip them down. Cortez just had them rip down these monuments, like a guy did the other day. There was an army vet or a military vet, and I think it was state legislature of Ohio or some state. They put in their building a monument to Satan. Not that they did it, the state did, but they allowed someone to come in and put a monument to Satan in there, some Baal statue or Satan statue. And some veteran, I have to say, God bless the veterans, some veteran came in there and beheaded the thing. He beheaded their Satan thing and just dropped his head off. That was really cool. I heard about that the other day. So that's what the conquistadors did when they went to places where they traveled through Mexico, and they saw these different statues. They just knocked them down. And what they did is, in place, they built up crosses. They built up a cross. See? They built up and they were Catholic. The Catholic Church basically paid for Cortez's trip because he said he was going to spread Catholicism and so on, which he did. He didn't say that he was going to basically necessarily pillage, take the gold and take the native woman and things like that. I don't think he told him all that stuff. And Cortez was not a saint, by the way, but he was brilliant. And yes, on balance, they were morally superior. I will say right now, some culture, I've said this many times, some cultures are superior to others. Doesn't mean human beings are superior to others, but cultures are superior to others. That's why they hate the Western culture in this world. That's why which is generally, as Tucker Carlson said the other night, a Christian culture. By the way, go watch, when you get a chance, watch Tucker Carlson's talk to Charlie Kirk's group, Turning Point USA. It's called American Exceptionalism, something like that. American Exceptionalism Conference. It was only a few days ago, so look that up when you get a chance. It's an excellent speech. It's really good. Tucker again, I might get people on this thing saying, oh, because they didn't like what he said about Ukraine and things. But Tucker is one of those people I just implicitly, they say don't trust man, trust God, not man. And you shouldn't really put your full trust in anybody. But in terms of just looking at somebody and saying, I can see where that person's coming from. I know where they're coming from. I have a certain, I'm going to call it trust. I don't know what other word to use, that person is a decent person. And I really like Tucker. He's an individual too. He's not following anybody else. Okay, let's see. Let me get a few more of your comments before we move on. God bless the conquistadors, Martin said. We need conquistadors to get Trump the heck out of there. Oh yeah, of course. We hear that all the time. These guys think I'm afraid to debate the Trump situation. I'm not, but the points have already been made. They just didn't hear the answers. So I don't know that I want to keep repeating the same points about that. And tonight's show is not about that anyway. But there's a certain, what's the word? There's a certain wisdom, I think, that's necessary when you're, let me just say it in general terms. This is all I think I'm going to say about this tonight. When you are looking for a person to lead your country, most cases they're not going to be perfect. In all cases, because there aren't perfect people that we're aware of, and they're usually not in politics. So you kind of basically have to go with what makes sense to you as the best person out of the choices. And you could say, oh, I would take this guy. I want DeSantis. He did a great job in Florida. Well, to some degree he did. I've lived there, and I can get somebody on who could tell you all sorts of things that he didn't do in Florida. Sometimes there's a lot of smoke and mirrors in politics, and a lot of times they show you certain things, but a certain bill that is supposed to do something, such as medical freedom, which happened in Florida, didn't end up getting medical freedom for the people. It did the opposite. Election bills. They did some decent bills in Florida. In terms of making it more fair, in terms of having the right ID and all that. But nothing they did ever touched the machines. We're going to do things about the machines as we go forward. We got to deal with the machines, and we have to county by county get our act together. County by county get our act together. Because we got to bring it back to county rule. They've taken it away from us, but our lives are meant to be governed by ourselves, our families, our communities, our county, our state, national, and then international. They've reversed it all. The one world people have reversed it all and want it all to be about, like in this state, it all comes from Salem. Salem is very liberal, and the state is generally liberal here because you got so many people from Portland and up there, around there, they got so many people that they've outvoted the people in these other rural areas. But they try to rule everything from the state, and they have the most insane laws here, immoral laws. You can have an abortion here up until I think just about birth in Oregon, which is obscene. The mail, I think all voting here is mail-in. They're basically ensured that all elections will be, let's just say whatever words I can use here, but questionable at best. If you have all mail-in ballots. And I think it is in this state, all mail-in ballots. So they know dang well what that means. When they set this stuff up, they know exactly what they're doing. You put something in the mail, you put your vote, write it in, and then put it in the mail. Where it has to go through a lot of places before it gets to wherever someone's maybe going to count it. But anyway, we need to get back to local control here. But that's what I was saying about leadership and the presidential thing. You can pick who you want, and you can fault who you want. I've certainly faulted Trump a lot for these shots, for sure. I mean, I know the level it's at pretty much. It's terrible, and I think he's made a big mistake by not owning up to this stuff. But I do think that he is afraid that if he says something, then they're going to come down on him. They're trying to make him the bag man. I don't care what anyone says here. He was not behind all this stuff. He was kind of goaded into it. He's not the one who started this stuff. In his mind, he liked the idea of some of these therapeutics that were out there, and he promoted them to some degree. He didn't promote them enough, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others. And yes, he's still saying things, and those things he should not be saying about these shots right now at all. On the other hand, somebody has to be in charge. DeSantis doesn't have his own money. You can cut the legs out from him pretty easily, I think, and the deep state would do that. I love Vivek. I love him, but he's probably a little fresh right now. He doesn't have, I don't know what experience he has. He has good experience, but not in governing and things like that. I love the guy, but Trump has been there. He's done it. He actually got elected twice, I would say, my humble opinion. And more than likely, he's learned a lot from what has happened. And we could argue this all day, and you guys are going to fill up the chat with stuff right now. But this is me just talking. I've heard your opinions already. Right now, we have a governance that is, in my humble opinion, and I think it's not even opinion, I'm just saying that for the purpose of YouTube, really, purposely destroying our country. And I think a lot of you know that. They're purposely destroying the country. So you need to have that government be out and elect in a government that at least cares about the country enough to do a lot of things that Trump did in his first term and probably would do a lot better in his second term, learning his lesson. Somebody's texting me probably. They're trying to get my attention in different ways. Maybe, I don't know. So Trump is, I haven't really said I'm going to vote for who exactly, but at this point, honestly, probably leaning, as much as I love Vivek right now, Trump was in there and probably would do a lot better job this time. Again, perfect by no means. My favorite president was Reagan. Probably always will be. I love Ronald Reagan. I love his spirit. He changed the world through his spirit. I really believe that. I don't think Trump has the same spirit as Reagan. Some people will say, oh, he's much better than Reagan. He passed all these things that Reagan didn't. Yeah, technically speaking, he passed more things. But I think the spirit of Ronald Reagan was most powerful, or he was maybe less corrupt than Trump. So his spirit changed the world with Pope John Paul and Margaret Thatcher and people that were around in the 80s. They changed the world at that time. The Berlin Wall came down. It was an amazing time. Anyway, I didn't expect to get into all this. I'm going to at least look at a few of your guys' stuff because I'm sure people were going to be typing in stuff about whatever I said about Trump and politics. Martin says, let talk Trump hating. Oh, yeah, that's funny. I see Mr. Sandy LaFontaine is in here. For the glory of the kingdom of Hispania and the salvation of the savages of the Indies. Santiago, Santiago, Santiago. This guy, I know this person, and he is a very smart dude, and he reads a lot, he knows history real well, and he probably talks over people's head about 90% of the time. And he also said, broken record players against Trump. Yeah, I get you. Okay, anyway, we're having a little fun. I know you guys mean well, so I'm not hating on anybody here. Martin said Arnold Schwarzenegger warned about the machines. Okay, somebody's trying to get my attention. I'm just going to check it just in case I'm doing something crazy. Maybe I can't be heard right now, or maybe I'm saying something oily off the wall. So I'm just going to check here. No, these are people who are not. Okay. These are people who are not on the stream right now. Somebody's bargaining with me. I was going to buy a monitor for this stream and for others a better monitor, and somebody they jacked the price up on me after I pretty much wanted to see it and agreed to it. The price got jacked up, and I said no, and now they're coming back to me. Anyway, it's kind of fun getting the right equipment because that way you can see everything. All right, guys, I'm going to be right back in 10 seconds. You know why? I don't have to do anything. I don't have to get anything, but I'm just going to test my be right back button, okay? Fair enough? We'll be right back, and you guys can sip a drink for a few seconds. Thanks. All right, enough of that. Hopefully with that, did that give you enough time to get a sip? Hopefully. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I had a few things I was going to show you, but let me at least show you this. I had a lot of things I was going to show you. I was going to show you guys just different tabs and this and that and show you some video on screen. But let me do this, and I want to show you all something. A video that I just dropped on old school YouTube and on Rumble too. It's an old video that I did, but I don't know whatever I did with it, or I either took it down or something, but I put it back up again, and I want you guys to see it, okay? We are going, oh, thank you, Mike, it works. We are going to, do a debut, at least a live debut of this video. And this is a video about Obama and Trump. Tell me if you guys enjoy this. Let me set it up for you. And let me know what you think of this. I want to get some input before I tell you any more information about it, okay? And it's about, how long is this video? Well, it's 4:47, but I think it's a good video. I hope you guys enjoy it. I think you will enjoy it. And let me go to it now. And I want to get your reactions to this video. Is that fair? All right. Here we go.
So tonight I want to talk as plainly as I can about the stakes in this election. I did hope, for the sake of our country,
2020 election,
that Donald Trump might show some interest in taking the job seriously. For close to 4 years now, he has shown no interest in putting in the work. No interest in finding common ground, no interest in using the awesome power of his office to help anyone but himself and his friends. No interest in treating the presidency as anything but one more reality show that he can use to get the attention he craves. Our worst impulses unleashed, our proud reputation around the world badly diminished. So let me tell you about my friend, Joe Biden.
He tried it.
12 years ago, when I began my search for a vice president, I didn't know I'd end up finding a brother.
Not that kind of brother.
Joe is a man who learned early on to treat every person he meets with respect and dignity. He made me a better president.
Help me.
And he's got the character and the experience to make us a better country. And in my friend Kamala Harris, he's chosen an ideal partner who is more than prepared for the job. Along with the experience needed to get things done, Joe and Kamala have concrete policies that will turn their vision of a better, fairer, stronger country into reality. They'll expand health care to more Americans, like Joe and I did 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh!
They'll rescue the economy, like Joe helped me do after the Great Recession. I asked him to manage the Recovery Act, which jump-started the longest stretch of job growth in history. Joe and Kamala will restore our standing in the world.
You serious?
Love that scene.
But more than anything, what I know about Joe, what I know about Kamala, is that they actually care about every American. They believe that no one, including the president, is above the law.
Oh, hello, yeah.
And that no public official, including the president, should use their office to enrich themselves or their supporters. They understand that in this democracy, the commander-in-chief does not use the men and women of our military who are willing to risk everything to protect our nation as political props to deploy against peaceful protesters on our own soil.
Peaceful protesters. Swallow hard. Those are our peaceful protesters after George Floyd.
Tonight, I'm asking you to believe in Joe and Kamala's ability to lead this country out of these dark times and build it back better. Look, I understand why a lot of Americans are down on government. So they're hoping to make it as hard as possible for you to vote.
Are you kidding me?
To the young people who led us this summer, telling us we need to be better, in so many ways, you are this country's dreams fulfilled.
Yeah.
But any chance of success depends entirely on the outcome of this election.
Make America great again. Make America great again. Make America great again. Great again. Great again. Make it great again.
Oops. All right, guys, I am having weird trouble trying to get back to the
A Russian
other.
anti-war former TV journalist has been
brother.
disqualified from running against President Vladimir Putin in an election
Terrible.
next March.
See, that's why we're testing things
Yekaterina
live.
Dontsova wanted to run on a platform
There
to
we
end
go.
the war in Ukraine and release political prisoners.
Wow. See, that's why we test things. Anyway, what do you guys think of that? You guys like that? I agree. Those were three really good people, Reagan, the Pope, and Thatcher. I wasn't trying to tweak you guys. This was something, obviously, we made before 2020 election. And you can see what was happening, warts and all, with Trump at the helm compared to what we got now. It's just night and day. Again, well, we'll see what happens next time. But we definitely need to get out. We need to get the current puppet out of office and his handlers, which we just showed one of his biggest handlers there, Obama. We need to get these people out of office, and we need to get somebody in there who we can trust can do the job, or we believe can do the job. So, and we got to secure, if we don't secure the election, that's why I tell these guys, you can hammer whoever you want, but when you hammer something, you have to have an alternative, a better alternative. If you're going to hammer one person, what is your better alternative? And that's questionable at this. I think reasonable people can disagree as to who might be the best choice. But there's not too many it's not going to be Nikki Haley, and it's not going to be Chris Christie. So we can disagree about who or what, but certainly reasonable people, in my opinion, could come to the conclusion that could certainly be Trump. I mean, you can make a case for that. Warts and all, everything that you say and all. And if you don't want to participate, that's on you. But I want to do whatever it takes to do the best thing for America. Not the perfect thing, the best thing. All right. I had other things to show you, but this has gone on a lot. I didn't expect to talk so much. I thank you guys so much for coming in and being here. Thank you for, I don't think I have anything else. Yeah, I don't even have an end screen yet. So I have some other stuff I have for my podcast that I'm probably going to use. I have a separate podcast where I'll interview people and things like that. And I may, on this show, bring on other people too. I've been thinking about bringing other people on. We used to do kind of shootouts with some people, and we'd all be yelling at each other and telling each other how crazy we all were. And I think that has some value. So I might be doing that in the future, but I think I'd like to do some more video reactions with a group of people. So I'm thinking about doing that in the future. So, Fabian tells me I'm just repeating another guy's words. I've been saying this stuff about Trump well before I heard Alan, this other person he's speaking of, a friend of mine, say anything about it. So I don't care. I know who I am. I know what I was saying and when I was saying it. So that's on you. Whatever your opinion is, I can't change it. But that's what it is. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great Christmas. Christmas is tomorrow night is Christmas Eve. I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas and great New Year and everything like that. And I think I want to do more shows. I've been really itching to come on. I just love doing these things. It's just, I've always been interested in communications. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I mean, we used to go around and make movies, and I went to film school when I was a young man, and I did public access TV, and was just always interested in communications, especially video. Love movies. Maybe we do some movie reactions here and there sometimes, and I want to throw a little comedy into. I want to do a little more than just, smack people about politics or whatever. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's stuff that we need to be doing in terms of growing food and getting our house in order. Hopefully you guys are all doing that by now, but we could talk a lot more and help each other in a lot of great ways. My friend David, who is one of these people hiding behind one of these names here on this screen, is doing a lot of that. And I really respect David for that, because he's a very practical person who is actually doing things to help get our community ready. And my friend Alan is doing the same thing. I know there's some of you are detractors, but I say God bless Alan. None of us are perfect, but we're all doing the best we can, and he's doing the best he can in terms of kind of building a Noah's Ark, so to speak, for people, morally, spiritually, and physically too. It's kind of like you got legs to the stool, and you can't ignore any particular leg. Even if you think the world is going to end in 2028 or whatever it is that you think, maybe it is, okay? I'm not saying it isn't, but in the meantime, let's do the right things for ourselves and our families and our communities, and let's put some elbow grease behind some of what we do. It's easy to kind of throw rocks at people from the sidelines. But that doesn't really change things. What changes things, it's better to get yourself in some kind of position of authority of some kind, or where you have some kind of thing to do. Then you'll see the other side where people are throwing rocks at you. Because everything that you do, like the new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, I don't know if he seems like a decent man to me, but every time, when you get yourself in a position of having great authority, you have a lot of constituents. And you have a lot of games playing and things going on in the background. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of pressures. And until you've kind of been under those pressures, you don't really know them. And it's very easy to kind of be an armchair quarterback. I don't want to do that on the show. I know to some degree I'm going to be doing that just by having a show and giving my opinions. But I really don't want to do that. I do want to start interviewing some people who are building their communities, who are doing things politically, culturally, and for freedom. And I also want to do things with people who want to bring Americans together. We can't bring all Americans together here because Americans aren't going to agree. A lot of people aren't going to agree. But even if we don't agree, we should be able to come together with a lot of America. I mean, when I was growing up, we had people that we didn't know what they were. My parents were Democrats, but they flew the flag. My dad was a veteran of World War II. So they weren't into like abortion, and they weren't changing sexes and cutting genitals off and doing the crazy stuff that's going on today. But even some of the people that have fallen into that today, they don't know what they're doing. It's like Jesus said, forgive them, they know not what they do. So we need to help. My friends on this side, who I think are off on certain ways, and they think I'm off, whatever. We have to find what's common ground and what's good and support that. And work with all Americans. If whatever Americans we can work with, we should work with. We want to build a united America. United we stand, and divided we fall. So it's corny, but it is true. Anyway, I said enough. Thank you, guys. Fabian says, obsessed about what? If you don't know by now, buddy, oh well. All right. All right. Thank you guys for coming on, for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and I'd love to do more of this. I've had this thing on screen a little too long here at oldschoolus.com. If you want to see some of my writings, and I'll probably start posting videos again on oldschoolus.com. Go to oldschoolus.com and do that. But anyway, you guys have a great Christmas and wonderful New Year, and we will hopefully see you next time. Maybe we'll do a regular thing out of this. All right, guys.